We like to talk about and discuss political tyranny, but really there are five other kinds or subsets of tyranny that have been more intimately involved with the world we live in today. These are the five forms of control that have been insidiously and covertly, and sometimes not so covertly, used on us to create this, dare I say, authoritarian world in which we live. On a personal note, I must admit that in writing these kinds of things, I'm often inclined to feel like the man pointing at the giant meteor or unavoidable comet that is hurling into the Earth's atmosphere. This is probably why I have tried to shift my focus more towards urging people to get more spiritually ready for the world that is coming. But us not knowing exactly what God is up to doesn't mean that a believer in and follower of the Lord can't or shouldn't faithfully believe that God moves in the most mysterious of ways. As to these five tyrannies of control that I will outline, I will point out that, of course, they always have some exceptions, thank the Lord, and many of them, along with their subparts, are kind of intermingled and interdependent and supportive of each other. So with that, these are some of the darker, overarching truths, I think, of the world that we live in. And I've written extensively in the past on each and every one of them, the five tyrannies of control. Number 1, economic tyranny, tyrannical objective. Category A, control the people corporately, in the upper middle class to the upper class, by paying them well to toe the New World Order line, or face the unemployment line that will leave them unable to pay their inescapable college debt and place them into Category B, or even Category C. Category B, control them, mostly in the middle classes, through taxes of all kinds and regulations. Category C, control them in the lower, ever-growing towards middle economic class by creating a dependence class. This is very easy to them and gives them voters that give them much power. In this light, it is quite easy to see why the powers that be hate and wish to shrink the middle class. And with the middle class being a class of people that are much harder to control in those ways. Number 2, educational tyranny. This is not to say that there are not some good schools out there and good teachers and administrators who kick against these things every day, usually Christian, I must add. Tyrannical objectives. Teach the students that God most definitely doesn't and can't exist. Teach them that evolution science is their God. Instill in them a victim-oppressor worldview, along with a sense of needing to be agents of social justice. Instill in them a love, devotion, dependence on the state, if you have to get funding. Teach them to read and write and some confusing arithmetic, if they have to. In the colleges, reinforce the indoctrination, increase even more the sense for the need for social justice and the part that the beloved state should play in it. And ultimately, get the students enslaved in debt to make them more economically controllable. Number 3, medical tyranny, tyrannical objective, in Category A. Instill in the people the belief that disease, well, it just happens. That environmental factors such as food, air and water quality and anything else they might be exposed to, including injections, have nothing to do with acquiring disease. Category B. Instill in them the belief that the only way to cure disease is through pharmacological drugs, vaccines and/or surgery administered to them by state-sanctioned agents. The FDA even says just that in their definition of disease and cures. Category C, sedation of the masses through fluoride in our water or through fluoride in our pharmacologicals, mostly antidepressants or perhaps through injections. This all to make us much more docile and compliant to their tyrannical ways. Who really knows what else is in those usually unneeded immunizations? Category D, collect gobs of money by offering health insurance that even gives them more power and control, and the collection of premiums that always ultimately is based upon managed risk, or always profitable actuary tables. Then if you can even offer a universal state-mandated healthcare system, well then, you can even have greater control of categories A, B, C and D. Number 4, informational tyranny through propaganda. Category A, controlling the narrative of all political and geopolitical and cultural discourse. This is the biggest thing raging, this info war, this control of the narrative. This category can be broken down further. First, gatekeeping, by using controlled opposition or controlled alternative viewpoints and so-called sanctioned experts that keep all thought in a certain preordained box. Secondly, using technology to control information dissemination, especially over the internet, using automated censoring algorithms on social media. Using also the tracking of trends by the collection of data also helps to build more successful censoring algorithms, thus instilling the facade that news agencies X, Y, and Z are the authoritative news, truth, and information dispensers. This facade is falling fast, or has fallen, and is the genesis for the new term fake news. Category B, to tell them what to think, instill in them the sense that it is okay to think X or even think Z, but it is never okay to think Y. Lastly, category C, tell them what to feel, especially in connection with their education-born sense of social justice and what they deem as acceptable morals and how the state should reflect these morals. Oh, and give them distraction and entertainment that causes emotional dissonance that reinforces categories A, B, and C. Number 5, theological or religious tyranny, the divisiveness of ignorance, or at least our inability to know something as absolutely religiously true. Using disinformation and misinterpreted and misrepresented theology of one religion to create derision and animosity towards another religion. This is practiced by and perpetrated upon all religions for the sole purpose of advancing desired political agendas in response. This religious manipulation is perpetrated upon Christian, Muslim, Islam, Judaism, and atheism, to name the biggies. It should be said that the open and free discussion and debate, and done peacefully among all religion, is what humanity should demand. This all is a great thing as long as one man's religion does not infringe upon another man's free will. Of course, this leads me to their other tyrannical tool of the promotion of aggression. When one religion perpetrates violence onto another entity, whatever the reason, I wonder if, in our post-Jesus world, that violence and aggression of the religious type, at least from a Christian worldview, would be invalidated. But that wouldn't at all mean that self-preservation on a macro or micro scale may not be a valid objective. This is an area for further religious debate for sure, and the final tool of religious tyranny, the promotion of apathy. This pertains mostly to Christians who believe, perhaps correctly or perhaps incorrectly, that Jesus coming soon excuses an apathy towards the powers that be and their tyrannical agenda. One should probably ask, what is the reason behind these 5 tyrannies? Well, I would hope we would know the answers. But here are the ultimate objectives: to extinguish the light of the city on the hill, to kill once and for all the rising tide of liberty that raises all ships, to squelch the American spirit that declared so famously, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed." But to continue with the reasons for that attempted global tyranny, to kill the Declaration of Independence and American Constitution and Bill of Rights, to form a new, tyrannically born global declaration of dependence, dependence upon the globalist state, dependence on the New World Order and its leader and founder, Lucifer. Of course, most people probably don't even recognize all of this as being actual tyrannies, and many, most sadly, are quite willing to give themselves over to them. This is what has made me feel like we have actually already lost this war on for our minds. Until most recently, where certain miraculous kinds of things continue to happen and continue to remind me that the Lord works in the most mysterious of ways. Glory, glory, hallelujah!